No offside.
Welcome back to another episode of No Offsides podcast. I'm your host, Dan Dean. My guest today brings high quality design uniforms that are designed by the players for the players. My guest today is none other than the owner of Hot Hot Hockey. I'd like to welcome Brian. How are you, man?
Good, Dan. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. You know,
Good.
I,
Thanks for having me.
yeah, no problem. I've been seeing a lot of content, a lot of jersey releases. Not only your company but other companies. And I was like, you know what? I want to have on, whether it's jersey companies, apparel companies that that support the roller hockey community. And I put it out there. You were like the first one was like, let's do it. I'm in, absolutely. And so, and also it's like, it seems like hot hockey is getting, quite the exposure lately.
Yeah. It's been a crazy 5 years kind of doing this. All of this kind of started during COVID, is when I got the idea for it. I had a real good friend. Her name's Melissa. She works for me now, and she was doing uniforms on her own for the Corona Inline Rink over here in Southern California. And I came to her during COVID, and just had this idea. We're all sitting at home, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's going out and doing anything. And then I hit her up one afternoon and was like, you know what? You're doing uniforms. I'm a computer guy. What if I designed some jerseys, and could you help me, order them, through
Okay.
these factories and stuff? And she's like, yeah. So we did some uniforms for some friends' teams and stuff, and it was the turnaround was nice and quick. There was no BS, dealing
Okay.
with these factories and stuff, which, I don't know, from other people's experience and even my own experience, buying uniforms through other companies and stuff. You kind of have to wait a long time, and their communication was never that great via email or even phone calls, text, whatever. And so that was always kind of frustrating. So, the fact that we were turning around things real quick for our friends' teams, word kind of spread quickly about how, just how quick we were getting things
Okay.
done and everything. So yeah, I mean, that was during COVID 5 years ago now. And we didn't really put the pedal to the metal and just go all in. We just kind of did it on the side for our friends'
Sure.
teams and stuff, local teams and everything. And then we just kind of started getting busier and busier, one order at a time, and before you knew it, we would find ourselves kind of in over our heads a little bit at times with so many teams and stuff, and then we kind of like, one day we just had to kind of take a step back and kind of look at everything and
Sure.
decide, is this something we're all in for, or is this kind of just like a fun side hustle thing just to kind of be a part of the sport kind of a thing. So yeah, we just kind of dove in head first, and it's been a fun ride so far.
That's awesome. I mean, so it's got to feel good because, like, you look at some companies, right? And they, wherever they are located, it's kind of like their hub, right? And some companies never are able to leave their hub. And so, I'm looking at teams that are mentioning you, and you're in Florida with South Florida guys,
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
Buttery Roller Company, right?
yeah.
You're now in
Love those
Charlotte.
guys. Yeah,
Yeah, they're great, and you're in like Raleigh, not Raleigh. You're in Charlotte. The Charlotte roller hockey scene just picked you up for jerseys and stuff like that. So I mean, it's
yeah.
got to feel pretty good that you're kind of like you've expanded. You've put your heart into it, and you've expanded out of your hub.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, it's important to me when people are throwing hundreds, if not thousands of dollars at you, you have to provide them with not just a good product, but
Sure.
just a good experience overall. Everything from the design process to, good communication, turning around and revisions and stuff. And I think that's what was well received here in Southern California early on. We were just, we just provided that personalized service. We weren't just an empty space that you were emailing, and the emails you're getting back just felt like, it was a robotic response and stuff. So we try to provide that personalized experience, and just have fun with the entire
Yeah.
process because it should be a fun thing. I mean, roller hockey, hockey in general is just fun, and so everything from getting new uniforms should be fun as well, and designing them. And yeah, I mean, I think we did a pretty good job, and I think that's the appeal to hot hockey, compared to everyone else, where it's just like, yeah, you can order from anybody, and you're going to get probably a similar quality uniform. And but for us, it was fun. It's just an extended part of roller hockey for us.
Yeah.
I'm older now these days, so I don't play much anymore,
Okay.
but I've experienced, the uniforms, the jerseys that were real heavy for roller hockey, and you're just
Oh yeah.
burning up in these warm rinks and stuff. And so when we started hot hockey, that was like my first thing I wanted to do. I wanted to find a real lightweight material. So we've got this ultra lightweight fabric now that keeps you cool on the rink and everything. So and again, that was one of the things. And now we get teams from pretty much every email we get with a team inquiring. It's like, hey, we heard about this lightweight fabric. Can we get that for my team? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So, but yeah, man. I mean, everything from Southern California and now, like you say, Florida, back east. Parts of Texas, even the Midwest, Illinois. We had some teams up there. We did some stuff for. So yeah, I mean, you just find these little pockets, and things start to snowball a little bit
Sure. Yeah.
from
No, I
that
mean,
initial order.
yeah, and you get like, looking at your Instagram and stuff like that, and what other teams are tagging you guys in, and it's just kind of like the designs vary. You have like your simplistic designs, and then you have some wild, crazy, awesome looking designs. I mean, like I said, the one that I used on the thumbnail for the Instagram post, that jersey
Yeah.
caught my eye immediately, and I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, I was doing a lot of the designs early on myself when I had that kind of time.
Okay.
When you start a business, there's a lot of extra stuff you have to do that's involved, businessy stuff, right? But when I was doing a lot of the designs early on, I'm a minimalist by nature. I liked the cleaner designs,
Yeah.
the clean look, not so much the flashy stuff. So, and in case you didn't know, so I'm involved with Rose Bowl hockey quite
Okay.
a bit. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Rose Bowl hockey, but
Yeah. I mean, I follow them, and I see a lot what they do with their community and just kind of like
yeah.
tournament and stuff like that, and it's great stuff.
Yeah, so Hot Hockey is essentially a spin-off of
Okay.
Rose Bowl hockey. So I did the designs for Rose Bowl hockey, and again, they were very minimalistic, but still pretty cool. And but yeah, I mean that flashy design that you really liked with the hot pink and everything, that was a fun one, man. And that took probably a week, just kind of working on it a little bit, and you
Okay.
just find these little elements to throw in there, and you see what looks good and what might not look good, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna change this up, change the colors and stuff. So and then before you know it, you got something that looks pretty good, and that design was pretty well received by a good amount of people. So we did a production run, and we have our tournament teams wearing that one and everything. So
Yeah, I mean, it's loud. It's roller hockey
yeah,
loud for sure, but it's clean, right? So it's not like
yeah,
loud and messy to where you're like, ooh, that's jumbled up. But like you look at it and you're like, well, I can make that all out. And the
yeah.
logos there, you can see hot hockey across the front. And then just the design is just it just flows.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's a fun one for sure. Another design I really like is the Rose Bowl hockey Reaper uniform we did. I don't know if you've seen that one. So that one it's more on the cleaner side, but it's just like it's that same hot pink color,
Yeah.
and so everything from the jerseys, pants, all the way through it was hot pink, and they played Narch finals and everything. Got some recognition from Roller Dad News, which was really cool. That uniform design. So that was cool. I mean, that was cool for them to kind of give us a little street cred out there in the roller world. So
Well, and
yeah,
it's.
it's
I
fun.
mean, you got to take it like super personal, where you're like, okay, I'm getting recognized by like, you're looking at Roller Dad News. They're, the biggest ones out there. They follow roller hockey for a
Yeah,
while now, right? And
sure.
so you got to be like, this feels good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's flattering. It's flattering for sure. When things like that happen, I wake up to text messages, from my friends and like, hey, did you see Roller Dad News, or did you see this this social media page? It's an Instagram account, and I go check it out, and like I said, it's flattering, it's humbling. At first, I didn't think much of it. Like our local rinks around here, I would see a team like, oh yeah, I did those uniforms and stuff, and didn't think much of it. But the more teams that started doing business with us, we started seeing them at all the rinks and everything. And I did sit back I remember one night down at Corona Inline, looking around, thinking, man, all four teams that are on both rinks right now are wearing hot hockey uniforms. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. Like this is something, and
Yeah.
it's like I said, I appreciate all the teams that come to us and everything. I don't take any of it for granted. It's fun, man. I'm just having fun with it at the end of the day.
Well, and you kind of, I mean, it can be a grueling job from what I've heard from people, and luckily
Yeah.
your manufacturing is not a pain in the ass, right? So it's kind of you makes things a lot easier on you. So your experience probably is different than others, but when things are going smooth and products coming out and people are happy, I mean, what else can you ask for?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Darren Goodwin said it best. The guy that runs Narch. He said, you're only as good as the factory that you're working with. And I took that bit of information and applied it to my business. It's important to have a good relationship with your factories, good communication. When something goes wrong, how to remedy it promptly. You don't want to keep your customers waiting too long.
Sure.
So that's extremely important. And so I have a handful of different factories that we use, depending on whether it's roller hockey, ice hockey, if it's just a team that wants jerseys, if it's a team that wants a full kit. We just have different factories and they all produce, the same thing. We all have the same patterns for each factory, same fabrics and everything that they're using.
Okay.
So it helps keep that ball rolling. So if there are snags with certain factories, then we can say, okay, well, we slam them with orders. Let's kick it over to here, to
Okay.
kind of keep
Okay.
that ball rolling. So that's just kind of how we do things.
Well, and it's nice to have options and be able to, like you said, make your orders flow out. So it's like, yeah, you've bogged down this one factory. Maybe we shouldn't give them another one because then this team's gonna be waiting an extra week or so.
Yeah, yeah,
You looked at it from, you've looked through it thoroughly. It seems like to make it streamline a lot better, which is probably the best way to look at it because then your customers are happy and they're getting it as soon as design's done. Um,
yeah, pretty
so
much.
I
Yeah,
mean, what does so looking at you talk about manufacturing and stuff like that. I
yeah.
mean, after designs approved and everything like that, what's timeline look like for like let's just say full, let's go home and away and pants jersey set for roller hockey.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to say a full turnaround, 4 weeks.
Okay,
So if we can knock out a design in a day or two, which is possible, we can do it. The production time alone, I tell people 21 days, so 3 weeks. Sometimes we get stuff in 16, 17 days back from the factory, which is great. But that's just what I tell people.
sure,
So I mean, that's what you can expect. You're going to get your stuff in about a month. There are times where we can get stuff really quick. I can push the factories a little bit. So if there's a big tournament coming up in 3 weeks, then I, tell the customer, okay, let's knock out the design, let's get it
okay,
done. Like, I work as fast as they work. So if they're
sure,
giving me the feedback, we can push the design over into production and then I can let the factory managers know, like, okay, we need this by this date. Can you get it done? Yes or no? Yes, you can do it. Okay, so what's the date?
yeah,
What's the date that it's going to be out of production? What's the date it's going to ship? We're very, very on top of like
okay,
the dates involved in this way we can expect to get everything in our customers' hands on time. So
okay.
yeah.
I mean, what do we what for? Like I said, for an entire home and away team set. I mean, what's your usual? What is does it fluctuate based on what you want? Is it one price is all? So like, what are we looking at for price wise for home and away
Yeah.
jersey and pants?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, man. Right now, the standard or regular price, if you want to call it that, is $49 per jersey, per pair of pants. If a team comes in and says, okay, we want to get lights, dark jerseys, and pants, then we've got some wiggle room to play with as far as price goes. And then I'll usually say, okay, well, I'll do the pants for like $35,
Okay,
which is pretty good to add
yeah,
on. But yeah, I mean, there's sponsorship programs that we offer as well. We work with the Buttery guys quite a bit, so they're we sponsor them a bit. So that sort of thing. So there's flexibility in there, and we're open minded to ideas and that sort of thing. I'm not a fan of undercutting the market,
Sure.
selling jerseys for $20, 16, 17. Like that's insane. Like it's a disservice to your brand, in my opinion. So we don't do that. So the money you're paying, that extra money you're paying, I should say, whether it's me designing it or whether it's one of our other designers doing it. It's like we have that money to pay the designers.
Sure.
And it's faster that way. I mean, if all the designs were on my shoulders, it's going to take me a bit to crank through, six, seven, eight designs in a few days. So if we can kind of spread the workload around, that keeps that ball rolling, keeps
Sure.
things quick, and that's what we want. We just want to be able to get the uniforms in everyone's hands as fast as possible.
Yeah. I mean, you're when people just think they're paying for material when it's like, no, you're not paying for material. You're paying for the people doing the work behind the scenes, the people that are doing the
Yeah,
designs, right?
yeah,
Those people need to make a livable wage as well. So,
yeah,
tack
yeah,
that on, and yeah, I get it. It's which is still a reasonable price, so people shouldn't
yeah.
complain about that either.
No, not at all. And I know there's other companies that are probably, $5 cheaper or whatever it is. They might be cheaper, and that's totally fine. And when we do get those customers that come to us and say, "Oh, well, I got a price from this company for, it's $10 less per jersey, let's say," then I say, "Okay, cool. I mean, if that's the most important thing to you, go with them. It's a
Yeah,
no-brainer, right?" I would do it if I was younger, because I remember I was broke when I was in my 20s. Yeah, I want the best deal possible. I'm going to
yeah,
go wherever whoever has the best price. And if that's the most important thing for you, then yeah, yeah, work with them. I would. But if you want that care and that, like you say, if you want that extra work put into it, which our design, like I think we have the best designers in the business, then yeah, there's a price for it, right? And that's
sure.
what you're getting. You're going to get a great looking design. You're going to get that fast turnaround. You're going to get fast service. A nice lightweight jersey for rollers. So yeah, I mean, we've pretty much offer it all if you want it.
And what blows my mind too is that H3 does not do minimum orders, which a lot of people
Yeah,
like. That's the requirement. Like it's usually like 20, right?
yeah,
So I mean,
yeah.
what's the process behind making that decision?
You know what? I never liked the idea of minimum order. Like I get it. Now that I'm in the business, I understand why there's a minimum order. I
Yeah,
mean, it affects production cost at
sure.
the end of the day. So to make one single jersey, that cost is high, and the factories, they hit you with a higher cost for it. So um, as long as we're making money off of doing a single jersey, then I'll do them.
Okay.
So if we get a lot of single jersey orders from goalies, especially a lot of goaltenders come to us and say, "Hey, can you make me a custom jersey? I just need one jersey." Yeah, we'll do it. And the cost for a single designed jersey is $125. And that's still cheaper than some of the other companies that we looked into it. Like, what's this company charging for one jersey?
Yeah,
And so we're still cheaper, even though you're thinking $125 for one jersey, but we can do it.
yeah,
And, as long as, we make money, the designer gets paid and we make a little bit of money and the customer's happy. So, yeah, it's a win-win. It's a no-brainer if we can do that. We're not making, a few $100s or anything on that,
sure.
but, we're making a little money for a couple hours work, and it's all good.
Yeah, and which the fact that you're so open about like, hey, this is what it's going to cost you, right? It says a lot
Sure.
about a company because you can go to like you can email a company and you may not even get a price from some of them because they're open to it, but if it's not what they want to do at the moment, then it's just like they won't even answer you.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's been times where we've been real busy and stuff where I start feeling guilty because I see my emails rolling in, and I'm like, oh my God, I got all these emails and I need to get back to these people and DMs on social media and stuff. And yeah, yeah, there's times where we get slow, and that's when I have to take a step back and be like, okay, where can I delegate the workflow?
sure,
Who can help me? Can the designer help me? Can Melissa? You'll hear me talk about Melissa quite a bit. She's like my right hand woman
okay,
in the business, and can she help me? Somewhere. And so, um, but yeah, I mean, it's important. It's important to get back to people, even if you don't have an answer for them. If
yeah,
people are asking, when are my jerseys going to be done? Even if I don't have an answer, then I at least say, well, I don't have anything yet for you, but let me ping the factory, and as soon as I hear something, I'll let you know.
Sure.
So
And it's being quick and being, getting back to people is just, it's good customer service, right? And just people like that. People want an answer because if you don't
yeah.
give an answer, then people go nuts.
Yeah, for sure. And again, it goes back to money. I
Sure.
when people are trusting you with hundreds, if not thousands of dollars of their money, they need something. Like they need their handheld, and I'm willing to kind of help them through that, through the whole process of uniform making. So yeah, I mean, it's a trust thing, and you want them to work with you in the future. You
Yeah.
don't want to give them a bad experience, and if you do give them a bad experience, you try to make up for it somewhere, even if it's just a simple apology. Sorry
Sure.
it took an extra week to get the uniforms done. It happens, man. I mean, these factories, they're not perfect, and we're not perfect, but we try to be, and we'll try to make things right, if we can. So, but so far, like I said, everything's well received, everyone's happy. So yeah, just taking it one day at a time.
And I think what I saw is it, if I remember correctly, your all of your stuff is done in like California.
The design work is done in California. So
Okay.
we do all the designs here domestically. Um, Manufacturing is overseas.
Okay.
And it's just I would say the majority of the companies are overseas these
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
days.
for sure.
Yeah, it's just we looked in, a lot of people, especially with like tariffs and everything these days, we've had people ask us, "Oh, are you going to bring manufacturing here?" And I know there's a company here in Southern California. I can't remember what the name of the company is, but we looked into it and they're charging like 65, $75 a jersey. But they do all the printing here,
Hmm.
sewing here, and everything. But that's just cost.
Yeah.
And so, like, if we want to make money on that, we're gonna have to mark it up even higher than
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
right? So it just right now it just doesn't make sense. And we've, like I said, we've got a good relationship with everyone at the factories. And it's more than just business.
Sure.
You work with these people for 4 or 5 years now, and you get to know them a little bit. And so they're an extended part of your family,
Yeah.
your business. So
Yeah. I mean, some companies too. I'm seeing, stuff is like it has customs become like a semi issue at all, or have you just had kind of a it's been an easier time for you?
you know what? It's good now. It's pretty easy now that
Okay.
I understand it all. It took us, when we first started hearing about tariffs and stuff, it's like, oh, what do we do? How do we pay tariffs, and like how is it going to affect, just the business and
Yeah.
our cost and the import, fees that we're getting nailed with. And so now it's good. Again, Melissa helped me with that. She made me this like chart. It says, this is how much per jersey it's costing if we're importing, let's say 100 jerseys. This is how much extra we're paying now. So she did this whole chart for us. But yeah, it really hasn't affected us too much. A couple of dollars a jersey. We just kind of
Okay.
bumped up the price a little bit. And even then, like my goal was to keep everything under $50 still.
Sure.
So we're at 49. We're good there for now. But yeah, there was a time where we were doing jerseys for like 45,
Okay.
pretty much when we first started. But now it's like, okay, and I'm always keeping an eye on the tariffs, and the delivery companies like UPS, DHL. They won't even deliver our shipments unless they're paid, so we have to like pay them in advance and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's just an extra step of work. It's not a huge deal. I've always been a big believer in keeping prices as low as possible, so we're just trying to do that while weathering the tariff storm.
Sure. Sure. And so, you have jerseys, you have pants, right? And you do ice and
Mhm.
roller, but
Correct.
it looks like you also do apparel.
Yeah, we do some. Yeah, we can do sublimated hoodies as well. So they're really cool looking, like hockey skate lace collar hoodies and stuff. Full sublimation. So we've got a lot of ice hockey teams that order those.
Okay.
So that's a good business for us, and I enjoy that. I almost wish we had somebody that strictly did like our apparel division. So they could sell more hoodies for us,
Yeah.
with the ice hockey teams and stuff. We've done some for roller hockey as well, but roller hockey's generally played in warmer climate areas, so Hoodies, are kind of hit and miss. But yeah, we can do hoodies. We can do sublimated shirts. Like moisture wicking shirts,
Okay.
shorts, moisture wicking shorts for like working out and everything, off rink type workout
Okay.
stuff. Yeah.
And I mean, if you don't mind me asking, like what's like a shorts and like if you were to make them right, and have a design. I mean, what are customers looking at for that?
You know what? I try not to charge more than like around $25
Okay.
per shirt and short. So $50 per player, you can get, a shirt and short
Okay.
for off ice training or whatever
Nice.
whatever you need it for. Yeah,
That's awesome.
not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, you were looking at nothing but affordability from hot hockey.
Yeah, I mean again, like I've been there before where I didn't have a lot of money and I just didn't have, going back 20 years, I didn't have $50 for a jersey, So it's important, and that helps keep the game accessible, right? So if teams are able to get uniforms, relatively inexpensively, then they got more money for other stuff like beer,
Yeah. Yeah.
beer league, the beer
Yeah.
league. They got more money for beer. They got more money for just living a life and paying rent and just so and again, it just keeps the game accessible. It doesn't keep it doesn't make the game too expensive to play. Um, so yeah, that's kind of why we do it as well.
Before I shift and we get more like you, like talk more about you, right? Just real quick. I mean, when if you're looking at your business compared to others, what separates H3 from any other company?
I think it's the customer service. I mean, that's kind of my number one thing. Are we doing a good job customer service wise? Are we getting back to people promptly? That was my goal going into this,
Okay.
is just to be better than everybody else in that department. And again, that stems from just my experiences dealing with other companies when I was still playing quite a bit. There were times where these companies, 4.5 months had gone by. I still don't have my jerseys, and my team's pissed off at me, thinking it's my fault, right? And so, yeah, I've been in those situations before, so I know what it's like. And so that was my thing. I just wanted to be better than these other companies.
Okay.
If we were gonna, go all in on this type of business, that was like kind of my number one thing. And then, number two thing was just keeping people cool on the rink. If you can have a nice, comfortable uniform, that was kind of our thing as well.
Okay.
So,
Sweet. Now let's get to the hard part. Let's talk
oh,
about you. So
oh no,
you said you used to play hockey, right? So it's
yeah.
like what originally got you into hockey? What was it about hockey or roller hockey in general that made you want to play the sport?
Yeah, you know what? I grew up playing soccer. I was a big soccer kid, played all through my youth through high school till my senior year in high
Okay.
school. And when I was probably 12, 13, Gretzky came to the Kings. And being from LA, for some reason, I had a cable box in my bedroom. So I got like HBO, Prime Ticket, all the sports channels. And when Gretzky came to LA, I started finding myself watching a lot of games in my bedroom as a kid. I specifically remember the very first NHL game I ever caught on TV. So I
Okay.
was flipping channels, and the channel stopped on a hockey game, the Kings and the Calgary Flames in a brawl. That's what, like, I just see like equipment everywhere on the ice,
Nice.
people throwing fists. And I'm like, as an 11, 12-year-old kid, I stop and I'm watching. I'm like, this is like the greatest thing ever. This is awesome. So from that point on, I was a hockey fan, right? I
Okay.
mean, that's how most people get into it. And
Oh yeah.
so I just found myself watching game after game. Next thing I know, the Kings are in the Stanley Cup final against the Canadians, and unfortunately they didn't win in '93. But I was hooked after that. I loved hockey from that point, but didn't really start playing hockey until I was in my 20s. Is when I picked up a hockey stick. I was invited out to play with the Rose Bowl guys. So the Rose Bowl hockey guys had been playing at the Rose Bowl since the mid '90s themselves, and a lot of NASA JPL workers, which JPL is in Pasadena, California here. So a lot of those guys played roller hockey down at the Rose Bowl in the parking lot. And so I was invited out, and again, I was in my 20s and just kind of learning and starting out. But I think because playing sports in my younger years really helped me pick up the game quick,
Okay.
and it's similar idea to soccer, and just with a stick and on skates. But yeah, I mean, I started playing roller hockey with those guys at the Rose Bowl, and we had a league team. We would play beer league over at the West Covina rink here, and it was a lot of fun. I fell in love with it right away, and fell in love with the camaraderie with all the guys down there. We were all tight, and all we were all wanted to hang out, just outside of hockey as well. We'd go get, food and drink some beers and stuff. And that was the appeal for it as well. And right around the same time, I became a Kings season ticket holder, got some season tickets. I spent all my money on that. Again, didn't have a lot of money, but I
Yeah.
spent my money on stuff like that. So yeah, going to a lot of NHL games, playing, roller hockey and stuff. And, just, it was a lot of fun for me, and
Okay.
we were real heavy on social media, so that's one thing I can actually touch on as well. I'm real heavy on social media, so dating back from when I was playing down at the Rose Bowl with those guys, we used social media. Probably, I want to say it was before like anybody else was using it, but I don't know if you remember Yahoo groups.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so there's Yahoo groups. We use that to kind of coordinate our weekly games, making sure we had enough guys showing up and everything. And then it kind of went over to, like, I think, a Facebook group. I don't think we had any MySpace stuff, but over to Facebook, and then over to Instagram. And we used Instagram quite a bit, and we were able to like post photos and video clips of
Okay.
us playing down there. And a lot of people saw what we were doing down there, and kind of helped grow the game in Southern California a bit.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Listen, I mean, you're talking Yahoo. I mean, I went and trolled people in Yahoo chats all the time when I was younger. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it's great that you have this story of what how it began, and you have talk about the Rose Bowl and the league there and stuff like that, because some people may not even know it exists, right? I mean, there's so many hubs
Yeah,
of roller hockey that they all have their own story, and
yeah,
and that's why I'm here, right? Because I want to hear those stories. Um, but and we look at it, right? I mean, geez, you're talking about how probably what are we talking? 19 what is that? 1990s,
when
right?
I got into it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. Because that's when
yeah,
Wayne Gretzky got traded,
yeah,
right? So
correct.
talk about the '90s, and you're talking about boom, he goes to the Kings, all right, and then it's like then he ends up going Rangers after that,
Yeah, that's where
right?
he
And so
retired. Yeah,
yeah, and then like he's got his Gretzky hockey that comes down to Cali. Boom, now you have a major hub. He goes to New
yeah,
York. Boom, now you have another major hub, right? And
yeah,
so it just you add to already from people that I've talked to that I did not necessarily have on the air, but that like it's Wayne Gretzky, right? He's the one that got hockey big in certain areas wherever he went, and but people don't know that side of the story of hockey. They know NHL, okay, cool NHL, but they don't know the roller side of Gretzky goes to a place and boom, we now have an explosion of hockey in that area.
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, his influence alone is unparalleled,
yeah,
probably up to this point. You've got Wayne Gretzky, Alexander Ovechkin now. I think he's putting his mark on a lot of the younger generation. Being probably the best in modern day hockey. And
yeah,
yeah, I mean, like you say, everybody's got a story, whether it's Gretzky. I mean, he's got his stories, I'm sure. You've got your stories, I've got my
yeah,
stories and stuff. And I think the best thing about it is we all end up on the rink at the end of the
sure,
day at some point. Everybody wants to try to play, and I see it all the time. I see people that are brand new to hockey and they want to try it, and I encourage them. I'm like, yeah, get on the rink and try it. Oh, you want to be a goalie? Okay, go ahead. I tried it once. I'll never do it again, but some people just fall in love with that position, and just yeah, they just go for it and they have a blast and everything. So It's a lot of fun, man.
So, when you played hockey, what number did you wear?
34.
Why?
My dad.
Okay.
It was his football number in high school. And so, yeah, just to kind of keep it going, I wore 11 for a while. If 34 was taken, I would wear 11, but 34 would always be my first question. Is 34 taken? No. Okay, I'll be 34. So yeah, I wore 34.
And I want to say probably in the 90s to 2000s, you're not looking at probably a very popular number for a
No,
player at least.
no.
Every now and then you might have a goalie, but it's not. You're not really looking at a at you're looking at 77, 88,
Right. Yeah,
91, right?
right.
You're looking at the hot shots. So, you know, I can't say that any of my numbers that I've worn are original for myself. They're all based off someone. So, um,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, it's just always interesting to see like what people wear, why they wear it, what's the story behind their number. So I, every now and then I like to throw that question out there.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. Mine obviously is meaningful and everything. Nowadays you look at Austin Matthews, right? He's probably the most popular guy wearing 34, right? Um, Trying to think, go to other sports. What did Bo Jackson wear? Was he 34 as well? I don't remember, but I remember, I think there was a pro NFL guy who was pretty popular wearing 34, but yeah, you're right, man. You don't see 34 too often, you more so these days, thanks to Matthews.
Well, because it's always like you look at a number and then a goalie comes out and you're like, wait, a goalie's wearing 72.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah,
so
I've always been. It's funny, being in the uniform business, you see the numbers that all the different players have and stuff. You see a lot of 69s and stuff, and you see that, and then especially for goalies, I always find goalies are very interesting. Are they going to just go with the number one? Are they going to go in those low 30s? But yeah, you see some goalies in the 70s and stuff with just some numbers. You're like, okay, there's got to be a reason behind it, right? If they're like 71 or 75 or something like
yeah.
that. So, yeah.
What is what what is the and you may not want to answer this, but what is like the weirdest request for jersey designs or a
Oh,
name on the back of a jersey that you've gotten?
there was a guy that came to us, and it was what's weird is he was a friend of a friend, or maybe a teammate of a friend, or an acquaintance of a real good buddy of mine, and he wanted some like crazy racist stuff
Oh,
like on a jersey. Yeah, it was rough. Like, what do you describe? I'm like, and that was really that was the first time I had to say no to somebody,
for sure.
because for the obvious.
Yeah.
And so I just told him like, nah, dude, we don't do that. I can't do that. Sorry, man. And he was totally like, okay, no big deal. I just thought I'd ask. I'm like, okay. And so, I told my buddy about it. I'm like, dude, did you know that this guy wanted this? And he's like, really? He doesn't seem that way. And yeah, he's like, he was telling me it was like some funny joke or something. And I'm like, okay, all right. But yeah, that was probably like the craziest thing. I'm trying to think, is there something really funny? Man, I can't really think. I mean, there's a lot of funny stuff. Everybody, like you say, everybody's got a story, and a lot of these teams come to us with some funny ideas and stuff, some little grotesque and stuff, and we'll usually do them if it's like
Yeah.
kind of out there. Um, but yeah, I can't think of anything specific as far as funny stuff, but um,
But
yeah, it's fun. It's fun kind of, and I usually do ask them like, "What's that from?"
yeah,
And they'll kind of, "Oh, okay."
yeah. But we know that hot out hockey does have morals, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of, yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, yeah, I mean, if somebody wants to put something crazy on their jersey, fine, but when our logo's on with it, that's
Yeah,
not a good look, right?
for
So,
sure.
yeah,
I mean, they're gonna
yeah,
go against someone that just wants the money, and they're like, we don't really give a shit what we produce.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm sure there's if you somebody's out there, they'll do it.
Oh
I'm sure. You just got to find the right people, I guess.
yeah. So, what is the future? Is there a plan for the future? Are you riding it right now, or is like what is the like? Where's hot hockey going?
Yeah, great question, man. We're pretty much on in cruise control right now. We're just kind of cruising through. If we go and up the marketing and ads, if we go on social media and really press hard, we can get busy really fast. And it's great. But it's also scary because we're still a relatively small operation with a handful of employees. But people have asked me before, like, oh, you're going to be the next, you're going to be the next Labeta. I
Yeah,
love the Labeta guys. Labeta's local right here, and so I love all those guys. And they've told us that you're going to be the next Labeta. I'm like, well, we don't want to be the next Labeta. We don't want to be as big as them. We just want to be us, and just do things our way. um but it would be nice to get a little bigger and bring, I know there's a lot of people looking for work these days. I
sure,
feel like there's a lot of people out of work right now, and friends of mine that I've aren't working, and I've tried to think of ways that they could get involved with hot hockey. I'm like, okay, where can this guy, where could he help? Could he answer emails? Could he do phone calls? Like, so I would love to be able to grow, to kind of not just to give them jobs, but just, so more people have jobs and work. And and I think there's a lot of people that love the sport, just as much as you and I, and I'm
sure.
sure they would love to get involved. And but so I'm always keeping my eyes open, for where certain people that I know could fit in, and would be a good fit for the company. So I'd love to grow and have, like I said, somebody dedicated to just doing apparel and dealing with, the apparel side of things. Have a handful of designers, and then, another thing we've gotten a lot of interest in is doing other sports,
Okay,
basketball, softball. And so we recently just did our first softball order not too long ago, a few weeks ago, and they turned out pretty well. They're just pretty much like moisture wicking shirts and stuff. And
okay,
so that's something, a direction I think we've been kind of waiting. We don't want to
sure.
grow too fast and stuff, but that's kind of like the future. So to be able to do, a whole bunch of different sports, I think would be a lot of fun.
Okay. Hey,
Yeah.
I mean, you also don't want to grow too fast because then you're gonna be like overwhelmed and you're like, we can't do this.
Yeah, yeah, and it sucks, man. We've been there. Like, we did that during Black Friday. We ran a really good Black Friday deal last year, and we were busy pretty much through the new year, and it was a lot. And it's funny. Everyone's like, "Okay, slow down, slow down." I'm like, "Well, I got to get it done."
Yeah, yeah,
So, but you learn. Those are the things you learn from, and you know when to push, when not to push. And so, a lot of this year, like I say, we've just been in cruise control. We're not looking to go out and get business from every single team out there. There's plenty of money to go around. So if we miss out on an order, we know the money's going elsewhere to, hopefully another good company and
yeah,
stuff. So, yeah.
yeah. I wish you the best of luck. Like I said, keep producing these sick jerseys and uniforms. Um, I look forward to seeing what is to come from Hot Hockey. Is there any words that you want to part with?
Oh man. Like I said,
Anyone you want to thank?
sure. Yeah, I mean, we got to thank the customers right off the bat, right? Like I said, these people come to us and they trust us with their money, and they trust we're going to do a good job. So obviously, you got to give a shout out to everybody we work for and work with. Everybody that works for Hot Hockey, Melissa, John, Tawny. I got to give a shout out to all of our coaches that work with Rose Bowl hockey. We've got a bunch of tournament teams and stuff. Coach Greg, Coach Brian. We got Coach Carlos. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. I got to give a shout out to Nate. He does a good job with our adult teams as of late. Man, if I'm sorry if I'm forgetting anybody, but yeah, man. I mean, yeah, I mean, those. It's really it's a team effort. Teamwork makes the dream work, and this is proof. If you have the right people involved, and you're working with the right people, and everybody's there to help and help promote your brand. I think that's important, and I think it's also important for other companies to coexist. Whether, like I said, Lebeda, I love the Lebeda guy. I love Kevin Lebeda. It's important for us small businesses to coexist. I don't believe in excluding businesses. I think there can be exclusions in this sport because it's such a small niche sport and everybody knows everybody. And sometimes I feel like there's people out there that don't want to help you,
Sure, sure.
and that's okay. I don't take it personal. They've got their reasons, but what are you going to do? It's important to associate yourselves with the right people that are going to help you and help you grow. And at the end of the day, just have fun with the sport. We're all here for the right reason. We're all here to have fun. Like I said, even though I don't play anymore, this is kind of my way of still being involved in the sport and just, having fun with it and meeting new people.
Yeah. And that's awesome. That's great.
Thank you.
Um, and so, to all the viewers, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you leave a comment. I always like looking back and seeing who comments what. Um, and, remember, when you're playing roller hockey, don't let up because there's no offsides. I'm Dan Dean. Brian, thank you for joining me, man. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you. Appreciate it.